Well, probably get started here then. What day is today? It's Brass's birthday. What a day for a birthday.
Yeah,
Let's all have a drink.
Oh, it is. Is it
it
brass
is
or
brass.
brassy?
Brass. Brass like the metal.
Brass. Okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, brass.
Yeah. We all got a chance to say happy birthday in chat during the Landmark Live, and good
I wished
stuff.
her happy birthday on her Facebook page.
Ah, well, there you go. So, welcome everybody to today's episode of Live Feature Rant. Episode 33 here. We've got a few interesting subjects to talk about, and we've got Kodi coming back here, a pretty regular guest around these parts. Over on the screen left, on the screen right. I'm leaning the wrong ways here.
Yeah.
It's Adam. Adam.
Hola.
Adam
Hey,
12.
what's up? Yeah.
So, and of course, I am Legendary Neurotoxin coming at you 45 and a half hours every single week, plus any bonus
He's a
broadcasts.
crazy man.
Yeah,
And only 57 podcasts dedicated to Sony Online Entertainment properties. Only 57, folks.
Yeah, so we got all sorts of stuff. Kodi, first thing I want to ask you, and we're going to talk about the Kerran stuff towards the end, but right off the bat, do you still have your bridge?
I have it, part of it templated, but I'm not planning on submitting it. No.
Even though they
But I have
asked
it.
for exactly that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's,
All right.
yeah,
Why
the
aren't
bridge
you
just
submitting?
wasn't. Why am I not submitting that bridge? It just didn't work. It didn't work. It was too straight. It didn't have the
Gotcha.
nice curves that. It didn't have that outline. That's when I'm working with Cools and Dark Lady. We've been working a lot together on Karen builds in the Colossus Guild, and the first thing we try to lock down is that silhouette of the shape and make sure that that looks good. And once you get that silhouette down from all the different angles, then you can go in and add all the little detail. And with the bridge, I had a lot of the detail with the stars inlaid and the interior done. But ultimately, the entire form of it just was kind of boring, and I just couldn't get it working.
Damn. Oh well. Are you gonna do another bridge, or are you done with bridges?
Well, our plan is, well, I did the textile shop, or we did the textile
Which is
shop as a
awesome.
collaborative build.
Yeah, I
And
toured
then
that. That was
now,
lovely.
thank you. And now we're working on and we've worked to work on Cool's Palace, trying to spruce it up, but it was already amazing. And now we're working on the Karen Windmill for Dark Lady, and we're on day 2 of that, but we're a little bit behind. And then we're going to work on a Karen Bridge, or no, excuse me, a Karen Gate. And then after that, hopefully we can get to a Karen Dock, Karen Ship, and then a Karen Bridge. And like I said, this is like Colossus stuff. So if you're interested in participating, contributing, hit us up.
Yep, and that's you don't have to be a member to participate, correct?
No, it's a community. It's not like, it's all about just bringing people together to work together and do collaborative stuff, because ultimately it's easier to work alone and it's harder to work together. But if you can learn to work together, you're gonna that iterative iterative process, excuse me, that they were talking about, that they have to go through, on every project. It becomes much quicker. The turnaround time from, you having to ask 10 people to come over to your claim, give feedback. It's instant if you're working with people, and that's why, we have a 3-man team. There's Whenever there's a vote, it never comes to a tie. So if you kind of really, strategize on how to work together, ultimately it's gonna, make your outcome better. And that's what Colossus is all about. It's a community of keeping things positive, reinforcing or encouraging people to work together, and ultimately, just trying to create awesome stuff in Landmark.
Mm,
For
awesome.
sure. All right, so let's talk about some awesome stuff in Landmark. So the first topic I've got listed there, earn your stay. Now we've got the new upkeep system, the new upkeep duration system coming in, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I
So
like that. Yeah, the way it's set up, it's pretty cool.
so pretty much to explain how it works, there's the number of days that you've paid for a claim is cumulative. It's not a consecutive. You don't have to come back every single day to keep it going. You can pay one day every 3 days over the course of a year, and you'll be able to unlock the highest level of duration, though that doesn't really seem like the most effective way to do it. On top of that, it doesn't matter how many claims you actually have. If you have one claim or six claims, you're only able to get the same amount of time invested in having claims up towards that cumulative total. Now, normally players are going to, and this is probably going to be the case when the game goes to open beta, players start at 0 days paid with a maximum duration of 5 days when it starts off. And if you created a new character right now, it would only have 0 days paid and a max duration of 5. However, everybody gets to start at the third level, which is at 15 total days paid, which grants a max duration, or excuse me, 30 total days
30
paid,
days.
and that grants a
Yep.
max duration of 15. That's actually
15
the
days.
fourth level down. So
So
pretty
nothing's
much,
changing.
yeah, nothing's changing for anybody who's already been playing, except that if you pay for an extra month, a full 30 days, you're going to, at the end of that 30 days, be increased.
50 or 20. 20. Sorry.
Oh, you're right.
20
20.
days after.
20 days after, then
tomorrow. after
20
tomorrow,
days, then
you'll get
30
5
days,
more.
then 40 days. And each one of those will increase your max duration by 5 until you're a total of 30 days. And when you have the 30-day cap,
That's where it ends.
yeah, if that's still not enough for us, then we can most definitely rant about it here, and eventually they'll give us more
Well,
duration.
thank you for reminding me. I have stuff to rant about.
Yes, you do.
You get me fired up.
All right. So, what do you guys? How do you guys feel about it? Adam, you were saying that it pretty much starts with everybody basically not losing anything, and then we just go up from here. How do you like the progression?
Yeah, it seems fine. I think it's actually it's a good way to do it as far as you know how long you've been paying into the pool. I.e., does really translate into are you actively playing? And yeah, I mean 30 days, a max durations you can pay out for a month. That's reasonable. If you're not checking in on your claim at least once a month, then you're not playing the game. So it's no big deal if your stuff gets packed up, really. So, yeah. So,
That's fair. Same with you, Cody.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with 30 days. What I do have a problem. I don't want to start ranting like this early in the show.
Go for
But I
it.
do have.
Is it the
What I do
cost?
have- No, I like honestly like. I don't like the entire system that. Why would you why aren't they giving us that bonus why aren't they just starting us at 30 days? Why are they making us work up to it? Why don't they give us that extra gift of just like, here you go, here's a little something.
I
Or,
can.
suspect. I just completely off the top of my head, I suspect it's because the system was not set up to track before it's going in tomorrow. So they have no way of really verifying what you've been doing before tomorrow is probably the reality of it. That's why they're giving everybody 30. It's like, yeah, that's a good baseline to go from.
I would
Yeah,
say
maybe like just a little bonus.
I would say it's a
That's all.
combination of that and that they actually want to test out the system to see
Hmm.
how well it works, to see, real world numbers, how many active people are playing, how many active people own builds, and how many active people have actually, in 20 days hit the next tier, in 30 days after that hit the next tier, and then in 40 days after that hit the next tier, and how much latency there is for people that are active and start now to get up to that point, to make sure that it's the progression that they want it to be.
So my question is, will it drop down though if you're not like if you're not I mean, I guess you always have to be active at keeping your upkeep. So
Yeah.
what would cause it to ever drop down? I guess nothing.
Cause
Right?
what to drop down?
The maximum time of 30
Never.
days.
Never.
Yeah,
Never
once
drops.
you've earned it, it doesn't go
And
away.
my question is that for all your claims? So like I could
Yeah.
just kind of take a troll claim if I already paid up to the 120 days. I could take a troll, or I could take my extra claim, throw it somewhere, and and I could put whatever I want on it, a
That's
big
a
sign that
good
someone doesn't
good
like.
question. Is it claim specific?
It's
I
going to be there
suspect it's
for
claim.
a
No, they
while.
said it was
No, it's
account
not claim
specific.
specific. Yeah, it's account specific for
It's
sure.
account specific.
Because
Well,
that's the only
whatever.
way it can be cumulative.
You're,
They
s- you're still playing enough to bother with that. You know what I mean? So
But once you acquire it, once you get it, it's never
yeah.
going to go down. So the system kind of seems like it's flawed.
well,
If
In
you've
that
put in
sense,
enough
that it never
time
goes
to
back
have
down.
earned, if you've put in enough time to have earned the 30 days of upkeep, then you know what? If you do, have 6 claims out in the world that are in the world for a month, and you go inactive, you know, no one's going to begrudge you that. You earn that time in the world. Whether or not you come back to keep it is up to you. So no, I don't really see it as something that really is going to be abused.
there is one thing that I would like to add on to it:
What?
a cumulative aspect where the more consecutive days you've kept that claim up, the less it costs for the upkeep, up to maybe as much as a
Yes, that would be
50%
nice.
discount or something. Or
That would be
more.
nice. I bet you something like that will come in along with the PVE merits in exploring. They're talking about all the little things we're going to unlock as we do things in the world. I bet you it comes in with that.
Potentially.
And they talked just on the topic of these claims. They talked about two things that they're going to be adding. One, like a claim ghost system, so your claim will go inactive if you don't pay the upkeep. Where people, you can't just use it, you can't use it or activate it, but it'll still be there in the world, taking up that plot maybe for a certain amount of time. So you'll protect the plot, which is what people ultimately care about, because that way they don't have to go replace it, refind it. All
Well,
that
it
kind of
was
stuff.
it was I believe that
Yeah.
they get that same procedural geolocation, and I hope it'll be a cross-server feature. But if that spot is and the surrounding area is claimed, pretty much on every server, and there's nowhere you can place it back down in that spot to, have it go back down one to one where it used to be, then you're kind of SOL unless somebody picks it up, and I'm not sure what the duration is going to be before that goes on. But if you go back to a claim that's disappeared after after it expired, and you want to put it right back down one for one, you still have all the materials. Even as Dave was hoping, even the materials that were in your chest will go back into their chest potentially. You would be able to do that. You would just put it down, and then you'd have to pay the upkeep again. And that's a really nice feature for somebody who's done like a hell of a lot of terraforming. And then I don't know, they pull a Dave Georgeson and chase a shoe down a river, and they're yeah. Anyway,
Well, yeah, that happens. You've got bigger issues than worrying about if your spot in the video game goes away for a bit.
well, yeah,
Some
probably
people,
right.
they care a lot about it. I mean,
I know.
that's their place in the world, their virtual world. If that's what you're
I know.
into,
I've got my
which a lot of
spot.
people are.
I make sure I log in to pay my maintenance, and
Keep up on your upkeep.
Yep, keep up on my upkeep.
There you go. I've seen a lot of, that's kind of one of the funny things. One of the things that really tells me that a streamer is done with Landmark, and this was kind of the telltale signs a while back, is that they let their claim expire and they didn't bring it back.
Yeah,
That's usually for me when I tell, okay, they're done. We'll see him. We'll see him when there's more features, hopefully,
yeah.
Yep.
and we will. I'm sure everybody will be back.
Oh yeah, because Landmark isn't like ever a finished game. It's really like it's like an experience that built grows. It's a seed that grows. It's like I see it more like a Minecraft model where it starts small and will just keep building on to it, where it gets just out of control. Awesome.
Yeah,
Where it's worth $2 billion. Like that's how much it was just sold for to Microsoft.
well, if they really wanted to, honestly, they could have a completely different mode because the terrain is procedurally generated. They could have an area that's just an infinite wilderness, like a survival mode sort of thing. You and your buddies kind of end up there, and you go as far as you can and do what you can, and almost be a little bit like a slice of H1Z1. I don't know if you'd have to do special things to be able to build your own stuff out there, but I think that would be a great sort of thing for people to have, access to, vast procedural extent. And then, of course, the other thing is, like most games like that, 3089 is the first one that comes to mind. As you go out further, the enemies get tougher. The loot gets better, but the enemies get tougher, a lot tougher, and then even tougher, and then they'll triple insta-jib you, and then they'll they'll insta-jib
Well,
you so hard your buddies explode.
I think they planned that, but more in a vertical sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As
that's
far as
true.
things getting tougher, and you can just keep going until it's like lava.
Yeah, well,
Or
no, that's the thing.
dragons.
I'm saying something where there isn't lava, where
Just
if
keep going. It never
if you get
stops.
10 kilometers away from the spire, you are legendary. That's the sort of thing that I would love to see.
That's cool. That's your goal. Like, if it tracks your distance, like, how far can you get? That's the
Exactly.
objective of the game. I like that idea. It's cool.
They could do all sorts of stuff like that. So that was a little bit off the subject of claim upkeep, but uh, we
I liked it.
can go there. It is a rant show. That's what it's all
Yep.
about. All right. So I guess let us move on then. Was there anything else on claim upkeep that you guys wanted to talk about? Otherwise, the observer system
Yeah,
is.
good. Yeah, I thought that was neat. I was just looking at that in the notes. I'm like that. I was like, yep, that was overdue.
The observer system. So, you'll be able to, when there's a battle going on, go into a mode where you're disconnected from your character model and you can fly around and watch what's going on. The awesomest feature that only has one downside, and it's only a perceived downside for people who perceive it. And for people that
Map
do,
hacking.
no, 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 no.
Oh.
That they gave it to us for combat before they gave it to us for building. My goodness, they were saying they were going to give us flying and building back in alpha. We still don't have it. What the hell? Come on.
They like watching us fall and die.
They're not collecting any more useful data. It's done.
They just know that now it's just them enjoying it. I don't know why. I don't know why they won't give us flying, but that I feel like, to be honest, I was a proponent of no flying. I thought as a builder, grappling hook is fine. It'll help us learn how to use it and get around the world better. But ultimately, like with the death system and how you can't res at your own claim, I would not mind dying if I could res at my claim. That would not be a problem. But
Right.
sometimes people work at other claims too, so I think maybe if they had a graveyard system or graveyard prop that you could place on a claim to make an option
That's
to res there, that would solve all the problems for most people because it's the run back of 10, 15 minutes, especially
yeah.
if you if you get lost easily. I do. I run in circles all the time. Like that's just me. I get lost, and it takes me like 15 minutes to get back. So I don't like it. I don't think flying is necessarily the solution. I also had an idea for a hawk that you could like release and then see, work through its eyes, control that to build with. It would kind of be,
Yeah.
it would feel more grounded in
I
my
was
opinion than flying.
a teeny little microvoxel size wisp that you can go into anywhere and actually even be able to adjust the frustum plane to clip what walls are actually drawing behind you. That's too complex, though, I think, for what they were going to do.
I mean, I see what you're going for there. It's actually a really good idea, but yeah, I suspect that's not something we can realistically expect in the game anytime soon.
I bet Steve Klug would be like just as much like, dude, that is awesome. I would love to do that and see that in the game. As he'd be like, oh my god, trying to, and then the UI, and then. So I mean, it'd be an interesting challenge, but I could see why that would be one they'd hold off on for a little bit.
If you make all your choices based on what's easy versus what's hard, you're never going to come up with something good, though.
Yeah, but I would say,
and what I mean by that is like the systems that they put in now is going to impact everything, including EverQuest Next. So they need like the chat system. The chat system isn't good. It's bad. It's old. It's dated. Yeah. It's like not. It's 10 years ago. You have to update your systems, and they have to be built for the future, because you're just wasting your time with old stuff. And I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
That's
Chat is text. Like what do you mean by it's 10 years old? I mean, I know the chat system needs options right now for us to control. I no doubt about that. That I agree with.
Clunky.
But
It's clunky. It should never be visible unless you're using it. Look at Hearthstone chat. It pops up when you need it, and that's only when you see it. And you have, it's very clean, simple. There's no tabs or anything. You get those tells. You're chatting with. Everything is intuitive. When you're next to someone, that's who you're chatting to. When you're in a group, that's who you're chatting to. You don't have to mess with tabs and stuff like that. And everything should come naturally to the player and easily to the player. They shouldn't be having to deal with issues like UI issues.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things where I believe they essentially want us to not be fighting with the tools and with the game in any way, and just to be able to work with it to make all of the stuff. But it's a very, very long and difficult process to iterate on, to go from the rough, crude tools that we had just back in alpha to where we're at now, and where we can potentially even go from here. So it's something that's going to be a constant work in progress. And honestly, I don't think we're going to be able to build the super beautiful stuff at a fast pace for quite a little while. I think it'll probably be maybe 1-2 years down the road before anybody will just be able to pick up Landmark, walk in, and build something coming out of their head, plus or minus the scale and resolution difficulties. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to just keep on working on the tools no matter what else is going on. If all they're doing is adding bug fixes and adding more weapons, they're still going to keep working on the tools. If they're pausing to optimize everything like they had to do with PlanetSide 2 at one point, they'll still be working on the tools. So I feel like the tools are going to constantly be a work in progress. They're going to keep getting better and more intuitive. And it's just it's hard to say which ones are. What's the right way to go with it? Adam, go ahead.
I was just going to say, also, UI is the last thing that gets polished in the game. So what we have right now is not at all the final iteration of what we'll have when the thing goes into open beta.
Well,
but
I'm going to be better UI.
But I mean, I honestly, like, in my opinion, I think a game that has a horrible UI like Minecraft has a better chat system, because it's just not in your way. It's not gonna like it's not always in your way. Like you can like get rid of it. That's what I have an issue with.
So you just
No,
want
I
it to be
agree.
able to be
I agree.
minimized.
We need more options. We need the robust. Honestly, I find they have the best chat systems in all of that, with the exception of DCUO. You know, EverQuest 2, EverQuest have really nice and robust systems. Star Wars Galaxies had the same. They all share the same chat servers through between all the games, so you can actually cross tell between all their games, which is kind of funny. Um, but they usually have just you name every granule option you could possibly want is there in EverQuest 2. And I'm missing that right now in this game. It's the only reason I don't normally join general chat, because I can't turn the join and leave spam off. In a finished game, I would be able to turn that stuff off in the options for it.
Yeah, I
Make
don't
it go
even.
away. Be transparent when I'm not using it. You know, like make
I don't
it
even want the
behave
options.
better.
I don't
Well,
even want
I
those
do.
options. I want it to be intuitive. I want it to be like Twitter, where you go on it and it just works and everything functions how it should. You get to see what you need to see and connect to the things that you need to connect to.
But
And
that's the
that's just how
thing.
I feel about it.
How it works and how it functions is intuitive to different people in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm more of the options heavy person when it comes to chat. I like customizing the hell out of my chat. I like having every chat
Yeah.
channel coming with text in different colors. If I can set the
Mm-hmm.
background as well, that's even better. So that way, when I see a bunch of text flying by, I can go to the specific tab where it came from, or be able to sort out things that I don't need to see. Log in, log out spam, that stuff. It is spam, really. I don't need to see
Yeah.
that stuff,
Yeah.
and there's no way to
At
Here's
all.
disable it.
No.
and I agree about the options, but I think they're tacking on these options to a chat system that is
See, I'm
like
not
at its
understanding
core
what
not
you're
good.
suggesting that would be innovative or different. Text is text.
I'm talking about a different communication system than having all these chat channels. So what I think,
Okay.
something
So,
like
like, we're
in
going to telekinetically communicate with each other? I
does
know we're
something
going to
like
have
in
voice chat. I know that's coming in, and they're gonna be leaning on that. But I'm still not following you.
what I'm saying is it should just be completely intuitive and clean and not a whole bunch of garbage on the screen, and that should come
So
first
that's all
before
design.
the
That's all
options.
graphical element, though,
And
right?
I think that should come before the options because we're already in the
No,
game.
that's the last thing that goes in.
Yeah,
Suck
I
it
mean
up, Buttercup.
they're
We're in
still
beta.
they're still working on making the genre agnostic UI. They still don't quite have that yet. Everything still
Yeah.
feels a little too fantasy. So as
Well,
they
all I'm
overhaul
saying
the
as
UI,
a
they're going to
user,
work on
I
that.
can't use their chat system. I
It's
find
it's
their chat
broken right
system
now.
annoying.
Let's be
Nobody
clear with it.
can.
It's
But
broken
we're all
right now.
saying it's completely shit right now. No doubt
Okay, well,
about
if
it.
it's
No doubt
broken
about it.
and I
No one
can't use it and
disagrees.
we're in the game, then it needs to be fixed, and that needs to have the highest priority over options. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, one of the
Well,
things that probably
I
go ahead.
only find it unusable because of the chat spam. That's it. Like right now, I mean that and the well, you can kind of make your own. I mean, it's just kludgy, design wise as far as the aesthetic of it. But again, it's not permanent. We need to be able to like rescale the whole thing and make those buttons smaller, and like that all needs to come in a big
Honestly,
way.
bigger than anything else, the biggest feature that I need is when I click on a tab for a chat channel, I can see
Hmm.
next to the name of that chat channel what letter or number I need to press to communicate in it. Because a lot of times I'll log in, I'm trying to find where PvP is actually at. I'll go through 1 through 6, and then I'll be timed out from chat for 3 minutes, when it turns out that 7 through 11 is where all of my communication channels ended up. And it's like, what the hell,
Yeah.
how could I even know that? Because just yesterday or earlier that day, or the last time I logged in, those sets of channels were in the 1 through 6, or maybe it's because I changed servers or something. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it really is like the most
Not
simple,
usable.
basic, not you're right,
Yeah.
it's usable in as much as you can send text and you can send tells to people. But even then, like, I
Yeah.
can't right click on the friends list and say, send a tell to that person. So clearly they don't have all the features and stuff linked up with it. But yeah, butterfly effect, use TS.
Yep.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Is like, it kind of sucks because it doesn't allow in-game community building, but where people that are coming in with a community or are able to find those communities, there already are places where you can IRC channels and TeamSpeak and Ventrilo and all that sort of stuff where
Yeah.
you'll be able to interact with other people on a regular basis. So it's, the community solution isn't really the one they should have to rely on for this one, but I guess they kind of are for a moment. Hopefully the
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, but look at it this way: if you are working with people in game, if you're trying to coordinate a group of people more than 2 or 3, voice chat is superior than trying to do it in group chat.
Absolutely,
It's
but
a lot
the
easier,
reality
so.
is some people don't like it. There's a lot of people, especially in the
Oh,
EverQuest franchise, who are, socially awkward or don't like to get on mic or whatever.
Wait a
whatever it
minute.
is,
Why did you single out people in the EverQuest franchise as socially awkward? You just described 2/3 of the
I
fucking
think that's
internet.
a reality. Yeah, I think that's, well, there you go.
I-
It's the internet, exactly. That's their client base.
Why did you solely single out EverQuest players? That's racist.
Okay. That's what we're talking about. You can try how you want, but it ain't gonna happen because that's what we're talking about. EverQuest.
You're a bigot.
Fuck you guys. Alright. Yeah, no. There's definitely, though, people who have specific ways they do like to communicate. Some people prefer text. Some people, it's like, I don't type at 120 words per minute for nothing, but...
There's a lot of people in
Or,
Colossus.
I've had...
Probably people in chat.
I've had people I've played with that they didn't speak English but could read English, or there was a lot of that, or people were just shy, or or you didn't want to voice chat with somebody because they were obnoxious. I mean, there's 1,000,001 reasons. I totally get that.
Yeah, but
so
well,
anyway,
way, my point is their chat system, Landmark's chat system.
Well, we know that,
usable.
but it's like complaining that the
that's,
PvE sucks. It's like complaining PvE sucks in the game right now.
Well, they're piling. What I'm saying is, if you pile on systems to something that doesn't work, you're just going to make it worse. And they have done that. In the past.
Chat is
it's a separate system
in the Sony games. It's a separate system from the game. It's a communication channel that sits on top of the game. What they're doing right now has no bearing on the chat system. And what they're going to do with the chat system has no bearing on the game itself. It really is. It's almost like a completely separate entity within the game.
But what I'm saying is the game already exists, even though it's like open or closed beta or whatever. It already exists. People are already in it. People are already trying to use it. So we need, as the live feature rant, to let them know that because we are already in your game, trying to develop your game for you, that you need to fix your chat system.
I don't care, Zoe. Get to it when you get to it. Now that
you don't play the game. Doesn't matter.
No, I do play the game, so
Okay.
So we beat this particular off topic to death.
The off topic we beat to death, but we didn't even talk about observer mode itself, so we can actually fly around.
Yeah, so let's get.
I was about to do that too, but then you started
going?
anyway.
Yeah.
So, yes. So we'll be able to actually watch. It's going to make shoutcasting a lot easier. I can follow people around. I can see when people switch weapons, so when their health meter suddenly goes down after a shot flies by, I can see, oh, they switched from the staff to the sword instead of, oh, they just got whacked for 90%, oddly a very even 90% of their armor, or whatever it is.
It'll make capturing and streaming, if you want to stream the stuff, but, not actually be playing, that's going to make that a lot easier too.
For sure.
I think it's good to have. I think that, I like how you can disembody yourself and kind of move around. It's going to be good for streamers. But
Mhm.
I mean, ultimately, like you said, builders need it first. And and if PvP isn't really good, which it's not, you just emphasize that. I mean, it's only been out since the 27th, so they talked about it. They said yes, it's broken. The lunar anklet's broken. There's problems with it, but why are you giving us additions like this to the PvP system? Like, why do we want the spectator view when the system's broken? It doesn't make sense. Like, if they're talking about like
I
logically
will
adding
say
on
why.
multiple systems. Okay.
So that way, us builders can know where and how to build our arenas in such a way that people can look with the observer and see the entire battle rather than not having that knowledge, building awesome arenas, but not being able to build areas where observers can be, you know, obviously nobody's going to be able to attack you when you're in observer mode, but it's more a matter of actually being able to see everything at a glance and being able to make that a possible position. It's something that, maybe if you don't really care about that sort of thing, don't worry about it, but I'm sure it's something that a lot of people are going to want to consider, especially if they plan for their arena to be one that people are streaming from multiple angles.
I think that's a great point, very legitimate point, because with Nuber's PvP battle, I had to cut the whole roof off of my build just so people could see what was going on. So I
Yeah,
really do think that's a good point. So yeah, that's why you're the host.
I think of things. All right. So, other than that, they also talked about being able to put down the game pieces so you can define which claims are battle and which claims are safe to do whatever. And it's,
Mhm.
I'm guessing, not going to flag you as observer or anything like that. You can go up and use the tools or whatever it is, or maybe some glass platform you have above that you want people to be able to run around and look down from. However, there's that becomes an option now. That was something that they had talked about in the beginning, but it wasn't one of the initial features they made available. Now it is going to be available.
Mhm.
I didn't catch. Did they have any updates on the capture the flag table?
And
I
I
didn't hear anything.
don't
I thought that
recall
was
them saying
coming
anything about it.
last week.
Yeah, I thought so too. They talked about it last week, but they didn't specifically say it. I was hoping it was coming this week, but oh well, maybe it'll be
I
snuck in.
wish. I mean, I this is a rant show, and I feel like this is a good time to talk about it. I feel like they have impediments in their design process or something, and where they can't implement something like the CTF mode, right? Why don't they come forward to the community and say, "We're having problems implementing this. It's getting delayed. We're sorry." Instead of saying nothing, leaving us in the dark, and then completely losing all trust with the community. Because if you're not honest with the community, we're not going to trust you. And if we don't trust you, uh, you know, ultimately, this is a pipe dream like that we're playing.
What's this
Like that's the
we, white
reality.
man?
I'm saying we as the landmarkians,
You don't
landmark
you don't
is a
speak
pipe
for
dream.
everybody. You speak for yourself.
Okay, all right, I'll speak for myself. Landmark is a pipe dream, like many other games that are start from beta and alpha where they have the player base. And if you don't, you lost. I lost my train of thought there. But what I was trying to get at is ultimately, if you, yeah, whatever I lost my train of thought there. Sorry. But
It
ultimately,
happens.
what I was trying to get at is if you create a pipe dream or something, you better have trust with your community, because if as soon as you lose that trust, they're going to be gone, and they're going to go up to the next pipe dream or the next thing. And in
Here,
my
let me
Why
hold
have they
on, hold
lost
on.
your
trust with
Let
I'm
me
us.
boil it down.
I'm completely lost.
Let
I'm
me
completely
just kind
lost
of
as to what you've lost trust over.
hold on. Let me
What?
just boil
Yeah.
down what Cody's trying to say in a very simple way. What some of us in the community would like is more direct communication with the producers on the team regarding what features, like what's the state of all the different features that are in progress, being worked on, being updated, etc. Something maybe not necessarily like the blueprint, which is kind of the projected what things are going to be worked on when, but more like a progress bars. We've got, about this much of the system ready. We've got about this much of it ready for the next stable iteration to go in the game, and that's this portion of the total amount of functionality we plan for going into early access or going into launch. That, I think, is the sort of thing that a lot of us would want, and I understand that would be a fair amount of work for at least the first couple of weeks to set it up and get kind of in step with it. But whoever ends up taking up the task, once they, because I'm sure it'd be kind of a group project, but one person would probably be in charge of it. Once it's actually gotten rolling, it'll be a lot easier, and I believe that it would potentially improve our ability to understand where things are going with the stuff, and it might not necessarily make communication go any, or the development of things go any faster, but at least we'll know where things are at and understand why things are taking as long as they're taking. Adam, what you got?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did I fall into a time warp into an alternate dimension? Isn't that what the blueprint is?
No, like I said, the blueprint is more saying what things are going to be made, when they're going to be made, not so much like, I imagine almost like, and obviously it wouldn't be this, but I imagine this like fancy user interface where it's like a blue bar and it's like filled in 30% and like there's a little tick mark showing like when it hits 50%. Not necessarily. I don't think they would do something like that, and I wouldn't want them to waste the time on that. But something like that where we can kind of graphically see where things are at, where the phases are at, what the timing is for the features, and just be able to see it in a glance. So that way, instead of having to, search through volumes and volumes of text to be able to find, what the last update was, and be like, oh, well, they haven't said anything about it in a month. That it will constantly be something in the constant discussion because it'll be something that'll be looked at and updated every week.
No one will read it anyway. No one will read it anyway, and they'll still ask it, chat every week.
Well, listen.
What about X feature? What about Y feature?
Cody,
there's 700 people
Go ahead, Cody.
There's 700 people in the Landmark Live chat, right? Those 700 people are dedicated to this game, and those 700 people are adults. They're professionals. They're an amazing group of people. The majority of them.
Not all of them. Majority of them.
Okay, well, let me tell you, the majority of them are amazing people, professionals, and they're adults, and they need to be treated as such. And if you're going to address 700 people, such a small group, you need to like have a targeted message to those people and realize that what you say, or realize what you're saying to those people and how it affects them. Because right now their messaging is so broad, it's like they're trying to talk to like a billion people when the reality is they're talking to 700 people. So when those 700 people make a huff after being completely awesome and the best community in a game that I've ever seen, and they've admitted that, best community in a game that they've ever seen, undeniably, when they make a huff, don't you think it would be smart of them to actually take a second look and treat it with a little bit more respect and dignity?
I'm just trying to figure out, like, what are you so upset about? Like, what are you guys not getting from them right now?
Communication. That's what we're not getting.
On what? I feel like we got communication coming out the wazoo.
On Landmark.
Be specific.
Okay, I'll give you a few specifics. I'm kind of interested in what's going on with the rest of Crafting 2.0. They said that there were a few phases to it, a few different features coming at different points in time. So we got the quality system and the upgrade system, so we can make something and it's got upgrade slots and it'll have some potential bonus enhancement on it, and we'll be able to build that up into a pretty massive harvesting tool, and that's great. We only have it for our tools right now. We don't have it for our weapons. We don't have armor at all yet. So it's really hard to talk about, like, we obviously can't be 100% of that part of the system because we don't even have all the items in for it yet.
Yeah,
but like what happened to salvage? That's something that I know everybody, 100% of us have wanted ever since it went away, because a lot of us use a lot of materials, and you want to be able to reclaim those materials. Or a lot of people are going delving in the caves, they find just umpteen pieces of random treasure, loot, furniture stuff that they're not doing anything with. I'd rather just break the cushions down into jute and have that be that. So,
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah,
the
we especially when we don't
Okay.
have when we have limitations on our inventory, like
So
five
there's holes in the
chests per claim.
communication, is what you guys are really saying. Is there's gaps and there's more information. You guys want more
Uh,
detailed
well,
day
I
to
said
day
that very
information.
clearly. I said it very clearly. At the beginning of my rant, I said communication is the
Well, see,
problem.
that's why it's not coming through clearly. You're going on this whole. You're leaning on the rant thing today pretty heavily, and I'm having a hard time having a conversation with you. And I think it's getting lost in you wanting to play up rant, rant, rant. I'm trying to hear what you're saying, and I'm just trying to understand what you're
I'm
saying.
I'm what I'm
So
doing is
there's no need to,
expressing.
there's no need to be like, I already said that, and I thought it was clear. Well, excuse me.
nah, just
Well,
Cody,
what I'm
go
doing is
ahead.
expressing how I feel that the community feels, and I'm trying to
Well,
make
you keep
sure that
saying, you know
SOE
what?
understands that.
Again, you keep
Yeah.
saying, you keep acting as if you're speaking as an ambassador for everybody right now. You don't represent everybody's
It's
opinion.
it's definitely when anybody in the landmark community specifically refers to the community, they're honestly saying a portion of the community. Nothing's ever 100% in any community, but there's
Mm.
definitely, I can't say that 100% of everybody agrees with everything that I would love to see in the game and the timing of everything. But I know a lot of people agree with a lot of stuff, and I agree with a lot of people's ideas, even if it's not something that I think necessarily would work for Landmark. At least agreeing that it's a good system, for some game. But ultimately, it's when it comes to somebody saying, the community wants blank. It's some people in the community want blank. It's really hard to say what portion of it is based on a statement like that. And it's one of the things that it really takes a lot of good conversation from the community to a lot of times get the developers' attention. Otherwise, sometimes it can just be like, hey Felgon, it's great seeing you. Hey, so about that materials thing, how can we get it rescaled? Like I talked to him at E3, and then within a month or so,
Hmm.
the materials
Yeah.
are rescaled. So sometimes it's just a matter of being able to communicate with the developers.
Yeah.
But it's something that there's only limited time and resources they have, and if I'm not the head honcho of my team or whatever, I'm not necessarily the one calling the shots on what I'm working on the project. I might have something that I
Yeah.
prioritize and I say is important, and it might be something that the community thinks is important, but it might be something that, well, it might be important, yes, but we need to get this, and this in first, whether or not it's a technical limitation or it's just because these are things that, Dave or Terry or somebody else decides that we want to have, and they haven't had the same communication with the people that I've had to know
Mm.
exactly why the community, people from the community might want it
Yeah.
that way.
Gotcha. All right.
So, let's stop, trying to define when somebody says the community. We're talking about a segment of the community that specifically wants those features. Um,
Yeah, when I say community, I'm talking about the people that I talk to every day, the people who are part of Colossus, all right? The people who
which is a
are
large
part
group.
of
It
the
is.
Woodcutters Guild, and the people who there's a lot of guilds, the people who are part of Angel Bay, all right? The people who are part of all the Voxelmancer groups that are out there. All right, there's a lot of people, and just speaking to Tenma is a huge community figurehead. He's part of Colossus, and he speaks to tons of people, and we all talk to each other. So it is a community that this is like our opinion that we're forming. And a lot of the things that I say are what people tell me, not really what I'm just coming up with.
And so when you were saying that, I got that scene from the Warriors, "Can you dig it?" in my head, but then, of course, that would mean Tenma's getting shot. So I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea. Um, so so we talked about battle or the improvements for the PvP system, and of course we talked about chat for a while, and we talked about a little bit of this and that. Let's kind of cover some of this other stuff, and then we're going to get into the stuff about Kerrans. So The update's tomorrow, by the way, everybody, and it's going to come after an SOE-wide update, and that could have a delay on it too, so there could be compound delays on your availability with Landmark. Suffice to say, they'll probably still have the workshop show in Studio B at the normal time because that's not really affected. They don't need the end game, and if they need end game, they've got
Yeah.
in-house
Developer
locals,
server, yeah.
that they can use. So it's not really an issue.
And
Um,
can I just say something real quick? I don't want to be painted as an anti-SOE, an anti-landmark, or anything like that, because the things I'm saying are really in the best intentions to help the product, because that's what they've asked us to do, and that's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
of course,
So
of course.
and honestly, because I've spent the 7 months learning the tool sets, building the community, or building my reputation in the community and those sorts of things, it's advantageous for me to see landmarks succeed. And when I say things like a pipe dream, it's like that's the reality of it, and and everyone can see that. Like I said, we're adults. We understand that this is not something that's solid. It's something that's fragile. Look at what just happened to Titan. After 7 years of development, it went under. Landmark has been in development for 5 years, I think. So of course the same thing could happen in 2 years. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But we have to be aware, or Sony has to be aware, that right now in this crucial period is the time that they need to listen to their fans and listen to the community. And that's all I have to say about that. But like I said, it's all about.
I
I'm not
disagree with you,
bashing
by the
SOE.
way. It's they
Yeah,
put their marbles in this basket. They're putting their bid in for Landmark and EverQuest next. It's going to be
Yeah,
the
they're not
next big
just going to
thing.
suddenly
Yeah,
cancel it.
it's
Yeah,
not.
they're
That's
not
not.
going to suddenly
That
like,
is not a
oops, we changed our
reality.
mind. Because SOE is an MMO company, unlike Blizzard's clearly wanting to diversify.
Yeah, and
But
hey,
I totally
they
hear what you're saying. Totally get that.
it's such
Cody.
it's such a toxic market. I mean, it's look at the track record of EA. They spent $300 million on a failed MMO. Look at the track record of Sony with Star Wars Galaxies. There's been a massive track record of failed MMOs. So to think that one more on it is
Stop.
a
I mean, never mind. Never mind.
it's their external IPs are the ones that don't do very well. EverQuest One, that's their own IP doing
Star
so.
Wars. Star Wars is a huge
Star
IP.
Wars is Lucas and now Disney. They just canned another Star Wars game this year. They're done with Clone Wars. They're done with external IPs. Other than DCUO because it's still doing well, and other than Dragon's Prophet because they're just doing the publishing on that. They're not actually developing it. Aside from that, they're just sticking to their own IPs at this point because they can do a lot more with them. They're free to do whatever they want with them, in fact. That's why H1Z1, that's why Sturm und Drang will eventually come around, the World War II MMO military sim sort of thing. There's, what they're doing is putting themselves in a place where all of their games are theirs. And that's why,
Yeah,
you know,
they're doing all original properties exactly. Yeah, that's where I think they're at too.
and that's one more reason why Landmark is going to be a big thing. They've already said they want to support us players, and if we actually make a game and a system that's so amazing that it deserves to actually be its own game with its own servers and its own environments and everything, they'll do that. They'll help us players. They'll support us. They're not going to take the game from us so much as help us make it a reality to make an actual playable, fully fledged product.
Yeah.
So,
I do trust
that's
them.
awesome.
I do trust the people at SOE. Dave Georgeson, he's everything that he said has come true. He said we're gonna his dream is for Landmark. I do think that is his intention. I really do truly believe that. But Dave Georgeson is a person. He's not a company. So hopefully the company makes the right decisions.
Of course, Dave Georgeson is kind of in charge of a lot of stuff, and he has been relied upon to run a lot of projects in the past. So, at this point, he might not be the top person at SOE and the top person on the project, but I don't think anybody's going to say no to him at this point, except maybe Terry or Steve. That's about it. So, oh yeah, we got new two materials.
Yeah, so I
The
was really surprised you didn't start the show with that. You know, I was like, what? He skipped over the two materials.
I like to be unpredictable.
He's usually prepared to talk 45 minutes on materials.
Well, now that we're
Why
talking
not just
about
go
it,
straight into rant? Let's
actually,
rant
the
about materials.
I'd love to see the blue cushions, the blue, specifically the cylindrical ones, match the rough blue cloth material, because otherwise I have these ugly, nasty things. I've actually got this awesome scaffolding I've been doing for my Kerran stuff. I've done two sets now, one that goes one step up every 4 wide, and now I've got one that goes one step every 2 wide, and I've got this thing going where there's the cloth going kind of draping down from part to part with each step. It looks really, really awesome, except there's a lot of artifacting if I go with the voxel cloth, and if I go with the cushions and then just use the draping cloth board or whatever to put the cloth in between, it looks good, except the materials don't match. So it goes from this really clean, tight blue fabric to this kind of rough, ugly kind of fabric. And that I'm really having a hard time trying to figure out how to resolve that. But that's pretty much
Well, I would just suppose you guys just go ask for more, like, hey, we'd like, maybe this was a chance for you guys to see we can do material. We can do it like this, or we can do it like this. What do you guys want more of right now? Maybe that's what that's for.
could be. I would say they probably want us to be able to figure out with voxels if we can, because every extra prop that's added to a claim is going to affect the performance. So as much as we can do as voxels is what they really prefer, unless it's something where we're using so many different materials that we're kind of hitting that, I guess, soft cap of materials that starts to make GPUs chug or whatever it is. And I don't know what that limit is, but apparently just don't use giant diversity of materials in a small space because it causes issues. But yeah, it's we got a roughed up copper or bronze rather, and a roughed up iron material, or the two new materials, and I guess we're supposed to use those for the Kerran stuff for a very worked, worn kind of look to it. I figure anything they're adding right now is specifically for the Kerran stuff, so I'm guessing that's what they want us to use. Is maybe that'll go on the end caps on the really large spars, or being the material we use for the connectors when, if you've got two spars that are going through each other and you want to have like a middle connector keeping them together, or various other sorts of things. People get creative, just using it as an inlay material.
Yeah.
Other things we've got going here. I see you've got it highlighted there already. One direction teleporters.
Yep. Yeah, I was just gonna say that'll be nice. That's interesting.
I like that. I was happy
That'll
about
give
that
you-
for sure.
Yeah, that'll give you a couple more. That'll give you yet a whole nother layer of option for the PvP builds, especially.
Well,
You
we
can-
could already kind of do it, so
You
I
can
would've
make an actual
personally
death room.
preferred. I would have personally preferred adjustable mines, because I feel like those are not really usable in their current state. So if we we're able to reduce the time that it takes to trigger, maybe increase blast radius.
Yeah, because right now if you scale them, if it's itty bitty or it's super big, it's still gonna have the same radius. It's actually really, really funny. I lined a bunch of them up to see how it worked and walked by them. It's like, yep, no, they all trigger. It's based on the center of the model. So yeah, that would definitely be some features I'd love to see. I mean, all the movers I'd love to be able to see. I'd love to be able to see the glass and other magical mover, the sliding tile or whatever, be able to give that 3 or even 4 points that it goes between, rather than just going back and forth between one. And I'd also like to see a version that's touch activated, that you have to stand on it and then it waits out the duration and then it starts moving. So that way,
Maybe an activator pad.
Yeah,
that could be-
would be a good idea.
so that's a lot of sorts of stuff that I'd really love to see with it, to improve some of that sort of functionality. But the thing that the one-way teleporter really means is you can set up a true death pit. You fall into
Yes,
this
you
area, it teleports you into a room where all there is bombs, and there's no exit, and there's no possible way you're going to be able to dynamite out of there. Maybe there's prop
That's a
glass or
great
something
idea.
just to keep you contained so everyone can see you explode and all
That's
the
a
bombs
great
going
idea.
off. Yeah,
That's a great idea.
death pits. Death pits. I'd seen people try to do death pits. I remember in Thunderdome, among other places, people putting like spikes and stuff that were, when you fall on them, you can't jump. You have to slide all the way down, and then you can finally jump, or just wait out the 10 seconds and grapple. And those were really, really awkward, but they didn't quite have that same, like, you die now kind of functionality as just a Mario bottom of the screen death pit sort of thing.
Mm.
I want a texture that causes instant death or damage over time. I think that would be really useful, even if it didn't have a graphic, or you could apply it to any texture. That would be even better.
Yeah, I'd love
Which
to
they're
be
talking
able
about
to
doing.
apply the keywords to my Lumicite materials. So you run over the red one, you light on fire, and then you run over the green or the blue one, and it cools you off, and then you're
Oh,
frozen
that
if you
would
stay
be
on it too long.
that would see, like, something like that seems like Notch, a game developer could develop it by himself in a day. Like those kind of
Mm.
techniques, right? Why can't they, give us what we need as game designers, game builders, that kind of stuff, to actually make stuff that's interesting and fun when their combat system in their game that they're trying to kind of force on us isn't fun and isn't working.
They're still working on everything. I mean, combat is probably going to get a huge overhaul pretty soon when the armor comes in. I think it's one of those things where they could have given us a micro
Oh,
update
yes.
on combat and then another micro update on combat, and we might be happy with it or we might not be, or just let it ride until we've got something really substantial to add to it. Honestly, armor still isn't going to be the thing for me. It's once we finally have the keyword system, and if they don't come at the same time, that's fine. I'm still going to spend some time learning the armor and those variations. But it's really when the keyword system comes in, that's going to be the point where we can really start talking about combat. Because even if it's a
Yeah.
little laggy and still has the aiming issues that it has, we'll still be able to talk about just build versus build and theory craft on it, and then try it in practice, see if it works, and if it doesn't work, try to figure out why, if it's game mechanics or if it's just because the functionality of the build doesn't work, or potentially we found a bug and we need to report it to Felgon. So there's, I feel like what we have enough to kind of play out a little bit of the very basics of what combat kind of is going to be, but until we get the rest of the stuff, it's still just like a demo. It's basically alpha combat.
Right, which is not going to keep people in the game, which is ultimately what the builders need. We were promised as builders to have testers. That's what we need for our builds to be viable. We have to have people that interact with them, play them, use them. Otherwise, it's an art asset that we could create in any 3D program, right? So, I mean, it's kind of like they need to. I know that it's a rant show for me because ultimately they didn't give us enough content to talk about on the show today, in my opinion.
Well, no,
And so they're going to get the
Well,
rant.
we've got 20.
That's my
wait,
opinion.
No, we've got
we've
got
got
25 minutes left. We still haven't finished the notes for this show, and you guys got
Oh,
to
yeah,
talk
there's
about
tons
your
of
Kerran build.
yeah.
You've definitely
Oh, yes.
ranted a bit long.
Yeah,
tonight.
we've got plenty to talk about. Don't worry about laying it hard on the rant there. But if you wanted to wrap up anything you wanted to say on the subject there, because definitely wanted to, like Adam
Yes.
said, kind of move on a little bit there.
Okay, let's keep it on. Let's keep
All
it
right.
moving.
All right. So
I'm just trying to project.
now here's the thing though. From the way they talked about, from Darren and Michael talking about the combat system,
Yep.
it sounds like they do want feedback from the community on systems to put in. So I'm definitely gonna have to dig up
Yeah.
my old combat documents. I think there were two of them combat related, and send them along, and hopefully they'll be able to get a chance. I'd sent them all back in July, or back in January actually, when I went to the Year of EverQuest event. I talked about it and I sent them along. They said they had gotten them, but it's just kind of a lower on the priority list to read them. It's a lot of stuff to read. I don't know if they ever actually got a chance to. It might have just kind of slid off the radar. So I'll definitely have to ping them again now that they've all gotten a chance to meet me and they know who the hell I am. And be like, hey, oh, okay, this, oh, it's that guy's stuff. Oh, hey, this is actually kind of useful. I hope.
Yeah. You hope.
But yeah, Darren McPherson and Michael Mann, if you're interested in combat, if you have comments about combat, those are the people that are most involved with the combat system. And I'm really excited for what they're going to be able to do with it. They really haven't been able to show us, nearly as much as I'm sure they would want to, but we've got something, and we've got more coming soon. I have a feeling we're going to have that more coming soon before or at the same time as monsters actually enter the world. Because I feel like it'd be kind of abysmal trying to fight the monsters with what we have right now.
Yeah.
It'd just be everyone staying back from a distance with the bows on the weaker stuff and the tougher stuff. Everyone pull out your staff and just run backwards trying to shoot out with the shotgun and hope to bubble it to slow it down if you can. But
shotgun confirmed.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
no,
saying it here.
That's the. I'm sure there's gonna be a shotgun, of course.
I'm sure there is. No, I wouldn't doubt there's gonna be a shotgun. I just don't think they've officially said shotgun, but yeah, I'm sure one will come along. Is gonna be in the mix. That's for sure.
Now, I wonder if we get a futuristic shotgun before a modern shotgun. That's what I'm wondering.
I think we'll get an old-time shotgun.
Old-timey, like stagecoach shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Old-timey.
I would. You know what? It'll come along with the. It'll. There you go, a blunderbuss. It'll come along with the dual 6-shooters.
Oh yeah,
That.
that one.
Wheel gun, equalizer.
Yeah.
So, another interesting thing, Dave wasn't around this week. He's taking a week off to do some stuff, some Dave things. But
better not go breaking the other leg. That's all I have
seriously.
to say.
But I'm pretty sure what's being worked on right now is between him and Aaron Carlson, the lead animator. They're working on a sit and a lay down animation, which is huge for role playing, and it's huge for being able to try out the functionality of a build and see if it proportionally looks and feels right.
I don't want lay. I want prone. I want to be able to move when I'm laying down. I'm sorry, but why are you going to give me lay when you should just give me prone?
Let them work out the inverse kinematics to lay down on things well first and apply that technology towards prone. Don't start with prone and do the easier thing. Start with lay and just work out the basic inverse kinematics of laying down on something or whatever, and then go from there.
Now, is sit going to be Indian style, or is it going to be?
I think it's going to be a chair sit.
A chair, but how is that going to work if there's no chair?
Fake it.
Then you'll probably sit on the ground.
Okay.
I mean, they'll probably work out various different forms of sit.
Halfway through the sit motion, you go into an Indian.
Yeah.
They have solved the sit chair, not chair, problem in other MMOs previous. Even one SOE's worked on.
But those were
may
not
have actually
dynamic,
really
those were.
That's true. It is
linked to the item, so this is going to be linked to a voxel structure.
Well, they might have two versions. They might have a chair sit, and they might have a
props,
or it could be a dynamic thing that you go to a place and you press the relax button, and if you're on like a ledge or you're near a chair, you'll kind of sit down, or if you're on more of a flat space, you just kind of lay down, and it's just a one-button command.
Well, I mean, what they did in Galaxies was if there was a chair and you clicked it, you'd sit in the chair. There goes Nero with the drink. And if you weren't in a chair and you type /sit, you would sit on the ground, and they would have idle animations that would adjust the way you were sitting, what you were doing. You would fidget or whatever. So I would expect that that's what you can expect down the road. Is what you know what I mean? And but you know what I mean? But that ties it to the prop, not to the voxels. And the voxels are what create the rest of the world. So I would think they would be two different things.
Well, once again, it's basically a matter of rigging the inverse kinematics for the animations so that the bones for the legs, specifically the feet, and the bones for the pelvis, for a sitting, are able to properly detect where the voxel ground or props or combination of the two is at, where the kind of physical boundaries below them are at, and being able to do something dynamically based on that. It would be the same for a laying animation, except you would then be involving an upper part of the body and possibly multiple parts of the body, and depending if it's lay on their back or lay on their side, or I can't really demonstrate laying positions in this.
Yeah, we're with your setup right now, but I totally
we need the
understand what
technology.
you're saying. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you,
Okay,
Nora.
that's enough.
Thank you, Nora. I needed that. Thank you.
All right. So, Kerrans, we've got about 10-15 minutes to talk about Kerran builds. The new Kerran
So hold
contest.
on.
Now
Can I-
the
can I
official
talk about a couple
contest
things?
is started.
All right. Real quick. Go for it, Cody.
All right, real quick. Greater workstone works properly. Magical platform fixed. Scale on props won't bug out. Mover flinger options to set to telly will be omnidirectional. Flingers will drop down now, so you won't get stuck. Mouse look won't. That caused bug. They fixed the bow sound loop. And real quick, I just want to talk about what they talked about. It was Darren McPherson and Michael Mann. They said their design process is beginning with what they need. That's the primary thing. What do they need in the game? Then they go straight to the brainstorming. So I think this is really good information for people who want to build maps in Landmark or create their own games. So it's like, what do you need first? Then you go to the brainstorming session where you start having the creative ideas. Then you talk about things that worked in the other games and haven't worked in other games and how that's relevant to your game. You don't want to make a clone. They said that very specifically, but they are inspired by other games, and I think that's really relevant, particularly in their style and in the music, which I kind of, personally with Landmark, I feel like the music doesn't have its own feel to it yet. It feels a little bit too reminiscent of a whole bunch of other styles. And then real quick, Landmark and EverQuest have a different presentation, but it is based on the same structural mechanics. So ultimately we are playing EverQuest with a different kind of a skin. And in EverQuest you're going to be collecting classes. So apparently that means you're going to have, I guess, all kind of like cards of decks in or Hearthstone. You can collect the different classes and play them at your leisure. That's that.
All right. So, Kerrans, what are you working on for Kerran stuff, Cody?
Working on a couple projects. Working on Textile Shop. That's a collaborative build that we're doing in Colossus.
That one's pretty much done, it looks like.
Pretty much wrapped up. A couple people gave suggestions on the forums of increasing the height, that kind of stuff. But I'm also working on the Kerran windmill for Dark Ladies, so that's super exciting. Me and Cools are working on that, and I just want to give a shout out to Timma and all the Colossus members who have been helping with the Kerran stuff and all that kind of things. And then we're going to move on to the Kerran Bridge. Super excited or Kerran Gate. So if you have ever played Warcraft or any MMO, you know those big gates at the entrance are where it's at. That's what people see. That's what identifies the city. So we want to come together and make a gate that is worthy of Kara and EverQuest. So that's our goal for the Kerran workshop, and ultimately we want to have as many projects, collaborative projects, in the on the Kara workshop island, the competition island, as possible. So if anyone out there is interested in having your work win the Kerran competition, come talk to us and we'll help you build it, because we're trying to build a bunch of stuff. And we have 2.5 weeks left to do it.
You know what I want to see is a Kerran front gate that it comes up like a garage door. No.
Okay.
I don't know.
No.
We're getting drawbridges at some point, so potentially that would be possible.
Yep.
But that's
I'm thinking like a King Kong style gate, or someone was talking Jurassic Park style. Some huge wooden doors. So we'll see. We have concept artists that are actually in Colossus, like I said, we're a group of professionals who are. He's going to develop and create the concept art that we're going to build off of for this gate. So super exciting. It's a different, exciting time and it's a different world we're living in where really the power is in the people, and it's just a matter of us coming together and grasping it.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm going to go over basically what's going on with the Kerran Foundation stuff. So
Okay.
the deadline is um, October 9th. So we have some time with this. This is actually, I feel like we've had twice as much time than we had with the Dark Elves, because that was up and down in like 6 weeks. This, I
Yeah.
feel like we started with the Kerrans before SOE Live, and it's been, a few weeks since then. So I don't know if they plan to make the workshop process longer, or if SOE Live was just all consuming. They really couldn't put as much time and effort into things as they had intended to, or if they intended for things to. I guess maybe part of it was that they just wanted to make sure there was time for all of the props and things to come
Yeah.
in. So we'd have rope, so we'd have fabrics and cushions and all of that sort of
That's what I
stuff.
was thinking. Yeah, that's actually what I was just going to say. Is I suspect it was not only that, but maybe they wanted to make sure as many talented builders as possible were on the same page design wise. Like they were honing in on what do we like, what don't we like. All right, and once they felt comfortable that with those decisions we know what the Karen world should look like, now let's start the contest.
Right, right. Now I always say there's kind of two aspects to it. There's whether you're building something that is meant to go in a city versus whether you're building something that's meant to go out on the frontier or even in the ocean. There's the that really awesome fishing tower build. I think that's Mellow Melons. Um, that is an awesome build, and I feel like if that doesn't somehow make it in with the style guide somewhere, if it isn't accepted as a as part of Karen's style, then they're kind of selling us short, because that's an amazing build. If there's something about it they would want different, I'm sure it can be modified. It somebody doesn't become an amazing builder because they got lucky. It's because they've got the skills to do it. They built up the skills to do it, and if something needs to be changed, they can do it. So that's a build I'm really excited for. That among so many, Taylor's build, the wall, that thing looks awesome. I'm not 100% sure if that actually specifically falls in the style guide. So let's kind of go over that here real quick. So they talk about wanting a bridge that spans 1.5 to 2 claims wide, which is what you had, Cody, but you're saying you weren't happy with it in the silhouette.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. A high tower with lower connected towers, and that's between 2/3 to 1 claim high. That's what I'm working on right now. And I'm definitely going with the Nautilus that Rosie seemed to enjoy so much. She was talking about the Fibonacci sequence and the Nautilus and how that works in nature. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Is this kind of this ascending spiral is the overall pattern for how the build is going. And if I'm able to finish it up in time, and I'm hoping I'll be able to, working on it every day with Landmark Daily, um, that I think is going to be a pretty nice achievement. I'm hoping it's going to be good enough, but I'm definitely going to have to employ help from the community to probably, like I was saying, clean up the voxel cloth and all that. And by the way, the scaffolding, the covered scaffolding that I have, it's actually designed tight enough that if you walk straight up whatever direction that it's going, your camera is not going to pop out anywhere. The
Oh, awesome. I like that. That's nice that you take that into consideration.
Yeah, it's especially at the corner where it turns 90 degrees. I actually have cloth covering the top and the sides in that area, so there's nowhere for the camera to go out really. The only time the camera is gonna pop out is if I'm on a slope going this way or whatever, and I stop here and look out to the side, because looking out that way, then my camera has nothing stopping it. But That's a it's a very rare circumstance. You have to be looking for that sort of thing. If you're just trying to get through it, you're never going to have a problem with that.
Have you had issues with your camera going through the ceilings at all when you visit claims, Neuro?
A lot of times I'll have that, and even when I'm building, this thing doesn't have any issue with it. I find that a lot of times happens with flat things, though. Um,
Flat
and
ceilings, flat roofs.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
usually what it happens with. Usually thin, flat
same here.
ceilings too. Usually
Yep,
the thicker
same
stuff
here.
doesn't have an issue. I know a lot of people have been having a problem with that. Maybe the past, I want to say, past 2-3 weeks or so.
It seems like a new problem to me, and it probably was something with the way that they adjusted the camera. But I'm definitely noticing it when I go in someone's mansion or house to go visit. I can't see what's going on because my camera's sticking through the ceiling, seeing their rugs or whatever.
Damn.
So
Yeah, the camera definitely like. I know they're not going to give us like some ability to control the frustum plane, but it would be nice just to be like, okay, this wall behind me, it's gone. This wall behind me, it's gone. I only want to see like, as many as 100 voxels behind me and further. Um, that would just make things so much easier.
It would. It would.
Okay.
All right. So did you finish the list here? You didn't finish the list.
No,
of
I did not
everything
finish
else?
the list. We have a section of wall with parapet between 1/2 and 3/4 of a claim wide, or tall rather. And I think Taylor's build is basically that. I don't know if they're looking for something meant to be more defensible or something kind of livable. Hers, I think, is almost not quite a residence, but it seems like it's got a really nice hangout space in it. Um,
Maybe they want all sorts of types. So
Probably do. I
above.
definitely,
Yeah.
for that category, I could see that one definitely being a finalist. The Epic City / gate entrance. So that's
Yep.
what Kodi folks are working on. That should be pretty cool. And yeah, that might actually be a fun one. That's probably one I'd be able to bang out between now and then as well. A landmark or monument or statue or some sort to be a striking city feature between 1/3 to 2/3 claim high. There's a lot of awesome stuff that I've seen, but that's nothing that quite fits that proportion. It's either smaller than that or
Mm.
it's bigger than that. Um,
Well, now folks know. Let's see if anyone steps up.
Defense, you're in chat there. Do it, man. I know you can do it. Poro, of course, if you're, I think
I
she's in
was
class
thinking of
right now,
Poro,
but
actually. Yeah.
yeah, Poro's an awesome sculptor. I'm sure she could pull that off. Um, there's a lot of awesome sculptors in the community. I mean, I remember going in, even in alpha, there were awesome sculptors, and early in beta, that's where I feel like there was a lot of sculpting going on. I feel like if we got a lot of the sculptors coming back, and even with the current tools we have, they'd probably be able to do a lot more and have a lot more fun with it, especially since the materials line up a lot better now. So moving on, we've got an open air temple, 1/2 to full claim width, but no more than 2/3 of a claim high. So that's almost a shorter build.
Yeah. Yeah, that is actually.
So that's kind of interesting. But also, I would imagine a temple isn't meant to be like a defensible structure or whatever. It's meant to be,
It's probably deep within the city. That's not something that's going to be out in the fringes.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So there's not going to be a bunch of people walking up in it, come outsiders and such. That it's going to be an issue. A market, courtyard, or town center, 1/2 to a full claim wide, no more than 1/3 of a claim high. So your fabric shop, how tall is that at its tallest point? Because that overhang, that's really awesome. That seems like it pushes it maybe to about a 1/2 a claim tall.
Yeah, it's about a little over half. A little over half.
So that would probably be pushing it for the height on something like that.
You
But
probably put you can really only put 2 on a claim, to be honest. Where it says 3 to 5, you can probably only put 2. But
oh no, that's the next
we want to
one.
make some smaller shops. Okay.
That's the various family dwellings. I was thinking yours, but I see what they're saying by a market courtyard or town center courtyard. That's the entire thing, not just a structure within it. And yours it's just one structure. 3 to 5 fit in a claim, no more than 1/2 a claim high for the various family dwellings and merchant shop taverns, etc. and then docks with dwellings, and they don't really give too much specification and
No, they
guidelines with
don't.
that.
Yeah.
So one that, and I know I'd be maybe almost a little selfish saying this, but one that I'm surprised they don't have there is stairs and walkways and pathways and scaffolding and stuff like that, because I believe they had something like that for the Dark Elves, specifically stairways, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess they're expecting that everybody's going to do things all in their own way, and
I don't remember stairs being part of the submission request for Dark Elves.
maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. I thought it
Sorry.
was.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
can-
They had a city like a city entrance way where they had some concept art with some nice stairs, and I think Rosie's pointed those out and specifically wanted us to do those stairs. And then I asked Temma on his stream. I said, "Temma, can you make these stairs?" That's like when I first started talking to Temma. He's like, "All right, yeah, I can make this for you." And 2 hours later, he never he gave up. That's how it goes sometimes, you know. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but
Yeah.
but you keep going.
A trial was attempted, though.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And of course, I posted the link there. I'll post it again here for you folks for the Kerran build stuff. And yeah, definitely, if this is something that you're interested in, get started soon, because if you plan to use a lot of rope or fabric or anything like that, you're gonna need a lot of jute. So you're gonna need to start early, and you're never gonna know how much you're gonna need until you actually need it. So get started with the build
Yep.
sooner, and then you'll be able to kind of figure out what resources you need. And at that point, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, everybody, look at this awesome build if y'all want to help me. And you're right, Kodi, we did forget that. They're going to be decreasing the cost of rope, the jute cost at least, by 50% or more for all the rope props, which is, it's nice, but I still feel like that's
Too high?
a 20th of what we need.
Well, honestly they need to give us longer ropes because those little segments are not usable for what we need to do.
Well, I don't know. It's just as much that as I feel like we should be crafting groupings of 10 at a time, not one at a time.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yep.
Ooh, that's a very
Absolutely.
good
Same with
point.
trees and plants and all that stuff. And it shouldn't stack up so tight. Like,
Honestly, I think we need a
why are all
prop
those plants
inventory.
pulling away? We need a prop inventory. We need uh, uh, basically a dirt and stone inventory as well. Dirt and stone, in my opinion, shouldn't be part of those other precious resources because we do need those massive amounts of stone and material to create the big shapes and stuff and to be creative.
That's true.
So it's like,
Or
we
just to
need
hold a bunch of stuff for
more
your
storage.
sifter.
Yep. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
if that's what you want.
Yeah. All right. So that is it. We have gone through everything. We have talked about the new upkeep system. We've talked about observer mode for battle. We talked about Kerrans. We talked about chat. We talked about communication between the developers and the players here. We talked about a lot of stuff. And
But we didn't talk about what is to come. And what's to come is a couple new biomes, so that's kind of exciting.
Oh yeah.
They said they're going to be adding those pretty soon, so more than one. And then they're going to be changing those island shapes, so we're not going to have those boring squares. Maybe more places to put bridges across and that kind of stuff. Michael Mann specifically said that the lunar anklet was a problem in PvP, and they were addressing it. So hopefully that's going to even be addressed on Thursday, but at least they're aware of it, and they said it publicly that they're aware of it. So to everyone who's PvPing and trying to PvP, they're on it
Yeah,
with the lunar
that
anklet,
is
so that's good.
Cool.
And also, I want to point out one thing that I think Terry Michaels said very specifically, or he didn't say that there won't be PvP on the Foundation Islands, but he said very specifically that you can't PvP on those islands. So it seemed like there was a big push or request to have PvP on those Foundation Islands, and Terry kind of nixed that. So just want to give a heads up on that. And then just a real quick out to chat, they asked a question to the community: Are the worlds too bright? Do we need to make the worlds darker at night? Is that a problem for you guys? Do you have an issue with it? That's what they were interested in hearing feedback on. So if you really do want to have your voice heard, you need to make sure that it's heard about the issues that they're working on currently. So they said they're currently working on adjusting the brightness levels of the day and night cycle. Colette kind of alluded that when you go deeper underground, it's going to get darker. So there will be that feature, so be aware of it. But ultimately, I think it needs to be darker. So, and also, real quick, optimization's coming next week. So
Yep. Yep.
it's not
Fingers
multi-thread,
crossed. Hopefully.
but it is going to be a big or an optimization that they just discovered. So it should be good for PvP and all that stuff. But it kind of alludes that multi-threading isn't coming this month, which is kind of what they were shooting for. So
They
missed
said the
that target.
24th or the 1st, so I think they're still hitting it for the 1st, but they said the 24th, or I guess it's actually going to be the tomorrow, the 25th, when they're actually putting the update in, that they're going to have non-multi-threading related optimizations that should make a lot of things better for a lot of people. So all the optimization stuff, that should be really cool. I'm really excited for that. Alright, we are definitely at the time limit, so I am going to wrap things up here. Everybody, thank you all for coming. This has been Live Feature Rant. I am Legendary Neurotoxin. On our screen right, of course, Adam, coming at you every week. Adam, do you have any awesome things to promote or anything that you're working on right now that you want to share?
Nothing.
No? Okie
Nothing to see
dokie.
here. Move along.
You got it. You got it.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
There's droids? Where? I didn't even see him. And Kodi, then why don't you kind of plug all of your stuff one last time here? And
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I have my YouTube channel, which is YouTube/Nanovoxel. I have a bunch of building tips there you can check out, and I do that once a week on Sunday. I release it. Usually is up by Monday, so look for that. And you can follow me on Twitter at Nanovoxel, where I'm tweeting and all that kind of good stuff. And then you can also check out my website, nanovoxel.com, where I have a blog. I haven't updated in a while, but I'm going to try to get to that. And then also I stream on Saturdays. I'm an SOE insider, so that means I can give away in-game items to you guys on my stream. And that's Saturday. I try to give out as much items as I possibly can. I have a bunch of mods and stuff helping me. And then of course I'm part of the Colossus community, which is not a guild in Landmark, but rather a community of people, professionals, adults who work together to get shit done. So that's what we're all about.
awesome that. Alright, well, of course I don't probably need to get into too much detail about all of my shows because
He only does 127 shows about Sony Online Entertainment properties.
Actually,
127.
Literally half of my broadcasting is Landmark. Almost the other half is Who's Gaming Now, except for Dead Feature Rant, H1Z1 show. Just had the community manager Greg Henniger on yesterday, and Noodlecat, who's also awesome. Yeah, it's a great time, and we're hoping to have somebody on from the team next week, hopefully, or if not next week, then the week after. But yeah, that's it, and we are going to be going to Telenar Gaming. We're going to be getting some building on over there, and always good to support our people from the community, so definitely head over there with a live feature raid, and I will see you there. Live feature raid!
Take care, guys. Thanks,
See you later,
Nara.
folks.